Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Velvet Lounge cooking session. And today what I promised you in my previous video is that I was going to show you how I make calamari. Quick, easy, minimum mess. Hopefully you guys tried out that seafood salad that I talked about in my previous video. If you guys haven't seen that, please go back and take a look at it and share it with other people if you love the recipe. But today, like I said, we're going to concentrate on calamari. And what I have, and what calamari is squid, as it states here. And what you get in a packet of calamari is you actually get what they call the tubes, which is what this is. And yes, I know there will be comments about what this looks like, as well as the tentacles. So yeah, the tentacles are, maybe a thing of horror movies, but I'm telling you, once you cook these and you do it, in a style that you like, or hopefully you follow my recipe, you'll really, really like them. So what I'm going to do is I have one tentacle left that I'm going to quickly cut up. And then when I come back, I am going to simply lightly flour these. I don't dip them in buttermilk or any other special things before I fry them. And the reason I don't do that is because it adds extra calories. So doing it this way is simply a way to minimize your caloric intake. And if you have a lot of juices at the bottom of your pan, you would actually dump those off because you don't want you don't want this to become muddy. You're simply trying to put a little flour on it. And I already pre-seasoned these. So while these are frying, I'm going to tell you and show you what seasonings I used. And so then you're just going to take your fingers and pretend you're in, middle school again, or you're in elementary school, and you're just going to sort of toss everything around. And then that's actually good enough, believe it or not. We're going to go over to our fryer, which is already heated, and I have it on 400 degrees. And I have the little strainer bucket thing in there this time because obviously calamari is small and you want to be able to get it out. So, and you do have to put this in pieces, otherwise it will come out in one big chunk. So, and it does cook pretty fast. I'm not being fast enough right now, but normally if I wasn't filming, I probably would have half of this in there already. Cook a serving of this for you guys. And what I have is about 3 servings here, because I'm going to serve it as more of an appetizer. But a good idea for calamari also is it's great in a salad, on top of a salad. So instead of having turkey or chicken or cold cuts or whatever, try some fried calamari on your salad. You'll love it. And that should be about enough for a serving. Actually, I'll put a couple more pieces in there. Camera person, Daisy's helping me again today. Make sure you don't get popped by the hot oil. Alrighty, so let me just check those. And the way I check, just to see how these are doing, is I simply lift my basket a little bit. Look at how good that looks already. And they probably only need another minute. So yes, these cook very fast. So if you are going to make calamari, never leave the spot where you're frying the food, because it will burn really, really fast. And you don't want to have a grease fire in your house. see how those are doing. Shake them around a little bit. And some people like their calamari fried a little bit harder, and some people like it almost like a softness. And let me just show you what I used in the making of this particular recipe. So what I decided to use is, first, what I did is I marinated my calamari in a little bit of rice wine vinegar. That will help make them more tender when you go to cook them, so you don't have to cook them too long and they won't be rubbery. What I put in it is some Old Bay seasoning, just a tiny bit of kosher salt. I use onion powder, as you know, as my old standard go-to, as well as granulated garlic, and I used a little bit of raw Jamaican curry powder. When you use that, you only use a very little bit. I probably used like less than half of a tablespoon. And then I mixed everything together, and you saw what the results were. Now this calamari is done, and I could tell because it started floating, and it has a little bit of a golden color to it. So this is completely finished. So I just want to shake off my excess oil. And I usually do that until it stops dripping almost, and then just put it on my plate. One little outlier there. And so this is what I have, and just let it drain a little bit on your paper towels or napkins so that you can get some of the excess oil off of it. And what I'll do to plate this up is we usually serve ours with a little bit of pickled cucumber. So I'm actually digging in here. This is hot, but with my hands. And I'll just put that on the plate there. And then you end up with this wonderful serving of calamari, which makes a wonderful little appetizer. I'm just putting a little bit of parsley on that so that it has a little bit of contrasting color. And so there you go. You have my version, and maybe the camera person will pull back a little bit. You have my version of calamari, and it is, being served with a side of yummy, crispy pickles. And if you guys could please do me a favor and tell me where you've had your most favorite calamari dish. Before I started making this at home, my favorite was at a restaurant named Agave, which is in Connecticut. I love that restaurant. But also in the bottom, if you could, give us a thumbs up for this video. And you can also share it and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Velvet Lounge.